We have two more sessions for you. Our next is our assistive technology, and it's brought to you by Jordyn Tremblay, a learning strategist here at PMC. She's going to tell you about these technologies. She's got the prep for your transition step. So Jordyn, over to you, our techie guru.
Thanks for that intro, Patty. Welcome, everyone. I am here to talk to you about some different assistive technologies today. So just so you all know, I am, in addition to a learning strategist, also an assistive technologist, and my colleague Jason Govias at the PMC is another assistive technologist here. But at any post-secondary institution you go to, you'll be able to meet with an assistive technologist to ask questions about technology you could consider using. They can also help you if you're experiencing any technical difficulties with your technology, and if they can't figure it out, they'll be able to help you reach out to tech support. They're also good people to check in with just to see like if there are site licenses you should be aware of for a particular technology you're considering, or even explore different options for technology if a tool you're using has kind of been working, but you want to see if there's anything else you can consider. So today we're going to take a look at a couple of different technologies, and I decided to really tailor the software we were looking at today just because online learning has been an experience, much like seeing Jar Jar Binks as a character for the first time in the Star Wars movies. So I really wanted to talk about assistive technology in the context of the transition between like a virtual environment to an in-person environment, and what do you do if you're in a bit of a hybrid situation. So I wanted to focus on technology that dealt with note-taking because that's the area which is most impacted by where you're at in school. Now, when we go over these different technologies, I should just mention I'm going to be looking between two different screens, so I apologize if it doesn't look like I'm looking right at you. I just need to see what I'm doing on my computer. So first technology of the day today is OneNote. So this is a note-taking technology that pretty much all post-secondary institutions should have a license for, because all post-secondary institutions in Canada have a site license for the Microsoft 365 software suite. OneNote is definitely a technology that most of you have probably even seen on most Windows computers at the very least, but not a lot of people always know like all the bells and whistles of what it can do. So for this particular note-taking technology, in the home page, you have some of the basic features that are very similar to Microsoft Word. You can bold text, you can add bullets, etc. You have embedded dictation software, which, come on, here we go, which you can use for putting down information. For embedded dictation software in the context of note-taking, it can be great to use for a virtual class, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for an in-person class because you're going to catch what your professor's saying and all your classmates who might be kind of like moving about or chatting around you during lecture. But if you're in a virtual environment, it can be great to just watch the lecture, play for a couple of seconds, dictate your thoughts and ideas that you want to take away into your notes, and then repeat the process. Other fun bells and whistles that you can use. There are a lot of great insertion tools. For example, I can attach files into my notes. For example, if, let's see, let's go with a practice quiz here. I can add this practice quiz as an attachment. So if this is something I need to do after reviewing my notes, I can just click on this particular document, and it's kind of like a link on your desktop. So you would be able to open this document later. It's all synced up with your notes. and you don't have to go searching through your files to find this document when you're like, oh yes, I've studied my notes, it's time to review the practice quiz. Another fun thing you can do is a file printout. Now keep in mind, this can only be done with PDF documents, but you can insert a document. And then if I wanted to, I can use my drawing features to underline or highlight important information that I see on this particular article. I can switch back to typing to add some notes. And the fun thing about OneNote, in any text box you work in, you can move your notes about for you. So this is completely customizable. I kind of like to view OneNote as something kind of similar to a physical notebook, but with the customizability of the digital format. Now, with OneNote, it also has some really nice math features. I can, if this doesn't lag too much for me, it's probably not happy that I'm using all this technology all at once, but that's okay. That's just what makes these AT demos so much fun. And let me just lasso this. And if I click on the math features, so it's going to attempt to convert my poorly handwritten math equation into a typed equation. This is not what I wanted, so I'm going to click fix it, and I'm going to see if it's going to give me what I want. Yes, I want that to be a 2. And let me just get over here, see if I can fix this X. Come on. Don't know why it's not liking that, so we're just going to take it as is. But as you can see, it will convert my equation to a typed mathematical equation, which can really make any mathematical notes I take more nicely formatted. Another major feature that a lot of students really like on OneNote is the audio recording feature. So with OneNote, how it works for audio recording, which is important to keep in the context for the type of class you're taking, is it will capture the audio recording through either your microphone or the microphone array on your computer. Now, in an in-person class, this means you probably want to be relatively close to your professor, because if you're sitting way at the back of the class, the audio quality of the recording is not going to be super great. However, if you're at home, this would mean that ideally you're playing the audio of your lecture, whether it be through your computer speakers or if you have access to another device to play the lecture off of, and then you would be recording that audio from the microphone array embedded in the computer you're using OneNote off of. There are sometimes some options, though, especially if you have a Windows computer, to do some system audio recording. In the context of OneNote, though, usually what's happening is you're using a third-party recording application to capture the audio of your lecture as you're kind of watching the lecture, and then you're uploading it to OneNote after the fact. This can definitely be helpful, but one of the nice things about recording live with OneNote is it will sync up what you are doing with. Why is this lagging so much for me? Come on. Okay. Don't know why my enter key is not working, but that's all right. It will sync up the audio recording with what you're typing and also with what you are drawing. So once I'm done with the audio recording, I can stop this. And these play buttons here let me know that the recording has been synced up to what I have done. So I can click this play button, and I just realized I probably didn't share my audio when I screen shared. So we're going to see, and people are going to yell at me in the chat if I messed up. Did I mess up, fellow colleagues? Yes, I did mess up. Okay, we're going to do a new share. Go and take 2. My screen should be live. Okay, so when I play this, as you can see, it's highlighting what I'm doing, and you can hear the audio recording. Don't know why my enter key's not working, but that's all right. It will sync up the audio recording with what you're typing and also with what you are drawing. So once I'm done with, there we go. And as you can see, it highlighted that lovely star that I drew. Please don't judge me on my drawing capabilities, everyone. So that's some of the basics of OneNote. So this is definitely one note-taking software that you can consider when you move on to whatever post-secondary institution you are considering. Another option to consider is Glean. So what's really nice with Glean is I love the recording flexibility with this software, because you can record like OneNote through a microphone array, but you also have the option to capture your system audio from your computer. For a Windows computer, this is super easy. It's a little bit more complicated with a Mac, just because for Mac operating systems, there are restrictions that Apple has put in place to prevent system audio recording. But you are able to record system audio off of Mac if you are capturing the audio from a Chrome tab. And in most cases, for a lot of online classes, that's going to work perfectly. So just to demonstrate what OneNote would be doing via just capturing the audio from your microphone, the audio screen is going to kind of be this line here. And what's nice is you can add these little tags into your notes, so you can see exactly when approximately you added this information in. If you are really bad at listening and either typing or doing any other note-taking activity like myself, you can also just insert a tag directly into the audio screen, and then when you stop recording later, you could click on this note-taking activity like myself without actually hitting the play button, because that makes these presentations so much better. But you can add your notes after the fact, and that's perfectly fine. You can also break up before and after the audio stream into headings, so you can kind of know exactly what was happening in your notes at a given point. And it will break up your notes so you know very visually what's occurring. Now, I'm going to pull up a YouTube video to demonstrate what happens when we do a audio screen recording. Let's do OneNote, because why not?
Hello everyone, it's Matt.
So for capturing a system audio recording, what you're going to want to do is click the screen audio button. And especially because any Mac users, I'm going to stick with the Chrome tab. Also, I have a YouTube video here that's already in Chrome tab, so it works perfectly. The trick is you select the specific tab you want, and you want to make sure this Share Tab Audio box is checked off. Once you've done that, you are good to go. It'll bring you right to the screen because Glean goes with the assumption that, hey, you probably need to hit the play button at some point. So
And welcome to
you just hit
Collaboration
play,
Coach.
and then you can
In this
go back
video,
to
I'm
your
going to give
notes
you a
and Glean.
beginner's guide to Microsoft OneNote. And then at the end, I'll
And
share
I
a
do
few
have a number of
tips on how
students that
I
like
use
to
it.
split their screen so they can see
Before
what
we
their
start, if you
professor
like
is
this video,
doing.
please remember to subscribe to our channel as we
Although I
post
should
every
probably not speak over YouTube videos, that would probably be helpful for you guys. So I have a number of students who like to split their screen so they can see what they're doing. Based on what the professor is talking about, that's definitely an option. For the sake of this demo, I won't necessarily do that because I kind of know what's happening in this YouTube video.
every week, and I don't want you to miss anything. Microsoft OneNote is a digital note-taking tool. You can use it to create notes and add content to them, and it stores your notes in the cloud so you can use them on whatever device you happen to be on. It's very similar to other note-taking tools like Evernote and Google Keep.
Okay, so going back to what I was just doing there. So as you can see, much like doing a recording through my microphone, I was able to type up my notes, add different tags. I did switch to lightning mode, which sometimes is an easier way to work with Glean, just because you can use number keys to insert a particular tag quite quickly. And you can also tell we're in a system audio recording mode, just because right now I'm speaking and it's not capturing the audio. Once you see in Glean that the line is straight, it means no audio is being captured. So we're going to stop that. And we are going to move on to the final note-taking technology we are looking at today. Now, as you can kind of imagine, Glean, great tool for either an in-person or a virtual environment, but we're going to move over to one that you can definitely still use them both, but a lot of people do kind of find easier to use in the in-person environment. So we are going to talk about smart pens a little bit. So a smart pen is a pen that has a ability to capture audio and sync it with notes that you write in a physical notebook. Now, most of these notebooks are going to look something like this, although this one is several years old, so it's been around the block a couple of times. For the pen I'm just using this quick demo notebook right here. But what I'm able to do is just make sure my device is paired and we are good to go. And why is that showing up? Come on. This is the fun of assistive technology demos, everyone. It always decides to glitch out when I'm trying to show about 60+ people how it works. Come on. Yes, you are all good. Well, if this isn't going to work live, we can work around this. So this is a page from a previous note. Let me see if I can find it. In this notebook, it is not. But as you can see, I have two different colors of handwriting in this particular page. That indicates that there's an audio recording there, because with the application, what it does is you see this little microphone button here, it will capture an audio recording. So as I'm writing in my notebook, the audio recording would be captured and it will be paired with what I'm doing in the application. I would then be able to click on this in the application. And when I go to Pencast, I can actually play the audio that is playing. I don't know if this would work at all. Yeah, I don't think any of you can hear that audio, can you? I apologize, that audio is coming from my phone, so I know it's probably not being picked up by my microphone. But I will just kind of play it through because it will, much like OneNote, show me when I have written a particular note by turning the handwritten note green to indicate I've done that. And I can click on a particular letter and it will bring me back to that point in that recording. Now, I can also switch the feed and I can convert handwritten notes into, I need to remember to actually do this in the phone application and not my computer. Welcome to Tech Inception, guys. I can just swipe it and it will convert my handwritten notes into typed text. One important thing to know, so this works great for words. It can do basic numbers as well, not as great with equations, although I do have a number of students that really love to do mathematical equations with the LiveScribe pens, just because they can work off a physical notebook. And that is all of the note-taking technology I had for you all today. I'm looking forward to hearing all of your questions and hopefully giving you guys some answers.